still not clear what Irvin is accused of doing. He filed a $100 million lawsuit against Marriott last month. Tell complained about an interaction with Irvin that he and his attorneys say lasted only a minute. Marriott would only let them view the video but not get a copy of it or record it, so Irvin still hasn't seen it.
So we have a huge update on this situation, and it's a storyline that we've been covering quite consistently on this channel, primarily because it seems like no one else wants to cover the story based upon what is being alleged here. But I think it's a very important conversation to have, and I think it's a very important storyline to consistently bring to you guys. Thankfully, there isn't anyone that controls the content that I bring you onto this channel, except if YouTube demonetizes the content, then it won't get pushed out to a larger audience. But I don't think that's going to be the case here. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. We're currently on the grind to 100,000 Instagram followers. We post shorter versions of this content onto our Instagram account, and now that we get all that out of the way, work! So here's an update as to how we're doing financially so far. I've made $5,407 so far, but it seems like my followers have been having significantly more success than I have. For example, my man Jess2K was able to make $800 by putting up $80. My man Anthony was able to make $1,250 off of putting up $50. And we're about to ramp things up because it's March Madness, bro. So if you haven't played Prize Picks and you want to make some money with us, all you have to do is go to Prize Picks, download the app, and use my promo code Mikerophone, and they'll give you an additional $100 when you deposit $100. I post pics each and every day onto my Instagram story. I've been doing a lot of research on this recently to try to get us an edge. I've been learning a lot about this niche, by the way, and it's been a lot of fun learning about it, and I highly recommend it. It's a great way to get some action in some games that you may not have been paying attention to. So download Prize Picks and use my promo code Mikerophone to get up to a $100 deposit match, and thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? You may know Michael Irvin from a multitude of eras. If you are a little bit younger than me, or maybe even perhaps my age, for the most part, you recognize him from his appearances on various sports debate shows, like maybe First Take. Maybe you've seen Stephen A. Smith yell at him a couple of times because the Dallas Cowboys lost a playoff game. Or maybe you've seen him go on very energetic tangents on these sports analysis shows. Or perhaps you're a little bit older than me and you had the opportunity to watch Michael Irvin as a member of the Dallas Cowboys triplets, one of the most successful eras in Dallas Cowboys football, and probably the last truly successful era for the Dallas Cowboys on the football field. Now, obviously, his career was cut short as a result of a gruesome injury that he took at the latter part of his career, but for the most part, Michael Irvin is one of the most iconic Dallas Cowboy wide receivers of all time, which is truly a testament to his greatness, because the Cowboys have this tradition of giving a once-in-a-generation type wide receiver on their team the jersey number 88. It was worn by Drew Pearson, it was worn by Michael Irvin, then it was worn by Des Bryant, and currently it's worn by CeeDee Lamb. There's no doubt about it that Michael Irvin was very important to the Dallas Cowboys, and his personality was so enjoyable and so infectious and so enthusiastic that he was able to net himself a job on the NFL Network and periodic appearances on ESPN sports debate shows. This resulted in him being able to cover some very prestigious events in football, such as, I don't know, the Super Bowl. Yeah, not only did Michael Irvin play in multiple Super Bowls and win multiple Super Bowls, but he had the opportunity to cover this year's Super Bowl. And things really took a turn for the worse during his week at Radio Row in Arizona. You see, Michael Irvin decided to stay at the Marriott in Arizona in a night where he would even bump into two human beings at the Phoenix Hotel's lobby, and even got the opportunity to talk to some of them, and it was actually a pleasant conversation. This is what the individuals that bumped into Michael Irvin on the night of his accusation had to say about him.
We had a really positive interaction with Michael. So I saw Michael, he was heading towards the lifts, and then he gets called back by a young lady just to say hello. It was a very,
What did you hear?
it was a positive, like, friendly conversation.
Was anything like inappropriate said or like, you know?
No, not at all, not at all.
A 30-second interaction, maybe it could have been a minute. Guys, I didn't really think much of it because it was just fan kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was just fabricated. It was a totally normal conversation.
Now, what happens is, very shortly after, Michael Irvin is seen greeting a Marriott employee right behind him. Now, we do have footage of the incident, but it doesn't really appear clear what they're saying to one another. Michael Irvin's smiling. It doesn't even seem like he's making physical contact with her, but check it out for yourself.
Cheated us. We all understand. We come out the truth. We can tell you. Stay
So you would think this is a complete non-story. You would think this is not a big deal at all. And then you find out that Michael Irvin would get accused of misconduct with this female employee. And this is despite the witnesses saying that they didn't see him doing anything wrong and that his brief interaction with the woman appeared friendly. Now, I want to give you a disclaimer. I try to paint the whole story and the whole picture for you. The people that are on the woman's side are saying that this footage isn't the encounter that the woman is claiming, but there's some sketchiness in regards to this whole situation, like some very severe sketchiness, because I do think based upon the information that is given to us, this is a clear case of sabotage. As a result of this alleged misconduct, Michael Irvin was not allowed to participate in covering the Super Bowl. He was suspended from their activities. And obviously, this is a horrible thing to have hanging over your head, especially in 2023. No one wants to be known as a human being that makes women feel uncomfortable, and that's a very light way of saying it. Especially in today's day and age when you have so much exposure in regards to your personal life, you don't want to get canceled and potentially lose your job. Like Chris Rock said in his pretty awesome stand-up special, if someone wanted your job like 10 to 15 years ago, they would just outwork you. Now, if they want your job, it seems like they're gonna wait for you to say something messed up and then try to expose you so you could get fired. As a result of this, Michael Irvin got pissed off and filed a $100 million defamation suit against the Marriott and the staffer who accused him of misconduct. And that's when things got really interesting. And this is what we talked about in our last video. The NFL Network pulled Irvin from its Super Bowl coverage after the allegation of the misconduct surfaced. The Hall of Fame former Dallas Cowboys wide receiver told the Dallas Morning News on Wednesday that he had a brief interaction with his accuser in the lobby of the Renaissance Phoenix downtown hotel where he was staying Sunday. Per the lawsuit that was obtained by the news, Michael Irvin accuses the Marriott of trying to have him canceled. Irvin seeks damages for defamation and wrongfully interfering with a business relationship. Now, I want you to be aware. I just want you to understand that no matter what happens in this scenario, even if Michael Irvin is found innocent, even if they prove that Michael Irvin did nothing wrong, the fact that he was accused of such a thing is going to damage his reputation for the rest of his life. A good example of this, and I'm not saying these two are even close in regards to the magnitude of the crime committed or how innocent or guilty that Michael Irvin is, but a lot of people think OJ did it. You guys know what I'm saying. Yet, he was found innocent. But to this day, a large majority of the population believe that OJ did it. That's a very extreme example, by the way. I just want to put that out there. But that's the best example I could give while it being the most extreme example possible. So even if Michael Irvin is found not guilty in this situation, people are still going to say, well, he was accused of something. Maybe he paid someone off. Maybe there was something that resulted in Michael Irvin getting out of this bad situation. So he has a right to sue the Marriott, especially when you consider the course of action that the Marriott is taking. Irvin's lawsuit lists witnesses who support his claim that no wrongdoing took place during an interaction with this accuser. Irvin told the news that a conversation with his accuser took 45 seconds and included a handshake. 3 of Irvin's witnesses spoke with the news. Marriott has not publicly addressed the lawsuit, and a spokesperson didn't reply to a request for comment from the news Friday morning. Plaintiffs' representatives have reached out to the hotel and even met in person to obtain clarity about the situation and provide witnesses and resolve this matter before the plaintiff's reputation could be damaged any further, but to no avail. For the news News' account of the lawsuit, Irvin states that he was shockingly woken up by a crew of security from his hotel room and removed from the property without any explanation or questions. For the lawsuit, Irvin has been banned from all of the Marriott properties. A hotel manager then contacted the NFL and informed the league that Irvin had been accused of improper behavior according to the lawsuit. An NFL Network spokesman told the News on Wednesday that Irvin will not be a part of the NFL Network's Super Bowl week coverage. Irvin was subsequently removed from a scheduled Friday morning appearance on ESPN's First Take, where he is a regular guest. So at this point, I'd say you're fairly caught up. I have a bunch of instances of the witnesses standing up for Michael Irvin, and then we get to where we are now. Michael Irvin is really taking this situation seriously, and it got really crazy because the Marriott appeared to be reluctant to disclose footage that could potentially clear Michael Irvin's name. If you're the Marriott, you're in some hot water at this point. You're not willing to show footage to clear Michael Irvin's name, yet you're standing by this accusation that Michael Irvin had improper behavior. But it seems like Michael Irvin's attorney did have the ability to watch Marriott surveillance video of the alleged interaction. So what do you have to say? Levy McCathern had the ability to watch the Marriott surveillance video of the alleged interaction between Irvin and the hotel employee who accused him of wrongdoing. McCathern called the allegations nonsense during a press conference via Michael Gelkin of the Dallas Morning News. McCathern said that he was not given a copy of the video and he wasn't allowed to record what he saw or even show it to Michael Irvin. He has filed an emergency motion to force the Marriott to surrender the video. Apparently, Marriott restricted McCathern's access without authorization from the court to do so. So that's insane. The Marriott is doing everything they possibly can to restrict Michael Irvin's access to this footage, which, by the way, you're supposed to disclose all footage and all evidence that could potentially clear someone's name in this instance whenever you have the ability to do so. But it doesn't seem like that's what people typically do because they want to win the case. Just goes to show how our country's doing currently, but I don't want to get into that. And then Michael Irvin had this to say in a very emotional press conference about the situation. Check this out.
This sickens me. This sickens me. Because in this great country, this takes me back to a time where a white man would accuse a white woman would accuse a black man of something. And they would take a bunch of guys that were above the law, run in the barn, put a rope around his foot and drag him through the mud and hang him by the tree.
It's really sad because you also see the man getting to break down into tears, and you can see this is really affecting him very hard because he has been accused of stuff like this in the past.
The allegations are not true, and the assault did not take place. Additionally, we have determined that Michael Irvin was not present at any time during this incident. The original complaint will be unfounded and no charges will be forwarded for court action.
Hey, are y'all rerunning it? Are you rewriting it and reprinting it like I asked you to? With the same intensity that you did. The same intensity. Don't lose the intensity.
Attorneys for Irvin and Williams said the players will have to decide whether to pursue a civil case against the woman who falsely accused them. Meanwhile, prosecutors in Dallas have the option of charging her for filing a false report.
So Michael Irvin would continue on to explain what he's going up against and his confusion at the situation.
About what would happen, not an investigation, not after repeated attempts of people trying to go and say, guys, here's what really happened. Here are witnesses that'll say this, here's witnesses that'll say that. They said, we don't want to hear. We do not want to hear. How can I defend myself if I don't even know what I'm defending myself against? They asked me, they said, do you remember this girl you met in the lobby? I work and I live in hotels. I stay in hotels all year long from August to September. I meet people every day walking in and out of a lobby. I couldn't even tell you what she looked like. I don't know. I don't even know who I'm talking about. When I'm talking about, I'm supposed to do something. And
you can just tell, man, this guy is so emotional over the situation he's in, and I can't really blame him. His reputation is definitely at stake in this situation. But one thing that really affected me personally is him saying, how can I defend myself if I don't even know what I'm defending myself against? He also explained that he meets people each and every day walking into and out of hotel lobbies during the football season, and then he made a very, very, very chilling comparison at the end.
This just blows my mind that in 2023, we still dragging and hanging brothers by a tree. That blows my mind that I have no opportunity to defend. I don't even know what I'm defending. And absolutely to not listen to the court. Marriott is above the law. because I still haven't seen this tape.
So we waited quite some time on this story, and the one thing that I personally thought was very sketchy was the fact that Michael Irvin's camp requested for the surveillance footage to be released from the Marriott. They have cameras everywhere, so they could easily sift this out, but they refused to release the surveillance footage. That was pretty odd to me, especially if there's evidence that could clear Michael Irvin's name. Well, as time went on, we got a huge update on the situation. Because not only did the Marriott release the surveillance footage, but on top of that, they released a statement on the situation. First things first, if you look at the surveillance footage, it appears as though Michael Irvin just had a lengthy conversation with the woman that was accusing him. So one might think that this is a little odd. This is very sketchy. Irvin just had a conversation. Why is this happening to him? Well, the Marriott provided an explanation from their side. And this was a response to Michael Irvin crying and saying that this situation took him back. Well, I'd rather have him say it.
This just blows my mind that in 2023, we still dragging and hanging brothers by a tree.
So here's what the Marriott had to say in regards to that. Michael Irvin's counsel provided a self-serving, inaccurate summary of the video footage that the Marriott produced, including his claim that the footage proves that Michael Irvin did nothing wrong and then turned the microphone over to Irvin to make racially charged statements. On February 4th, the day before the encounter, the NFL asked the hotel to make them aware of any incidents involving guests that were staying in their block of rooms. On the night in question, the Marriott says that Irvin flagged down the accuser and appeared to be visibly intoxicated, and began his aggressive behavior toward the employee, shaking her hand, stating she was attractive, and asking her if she watched football. Irvin also reached out and touched the victim's arm during the conversation without her consent, causing her to step back, becoming visibly uncomfortable. Irvin then asked the victim whether she knew anything about having a big black man inside of her, the lawsuit says. Irvin then attempted to grab the victim's hand again and said he was sorry if he brought up bad memories for her. The victim pulled her hand away and tried to back away from Irvin as he continued to move towards her. Two hotel employees noticed that their co-worker was uncomfortable when she returned to work, and the accuser went to work the next day and reported the incident to her manager, who told her to take the complaint to loss prevention, according to the lawsuit. The accuser, who is identified as victim in the recent filing and Jane Doe in previous motions, was then interviewed by NFL investigator, and Irvin left the hotel later that night. The woman has yet to file any police complaint with Phoenix authorities. In the same court filing, the Marriott asked the court to issue a protective order to protect the privacy and safety of whose identities can be ascertained in the video, fearing that the video may go public and to limit the publicity in the case before it has gone to trial. Irvin and his lawyers did receive an unredacted video of the lobby conversation on Friday after the court previously ordered the Marriott multiple times to produce the discovery evidence. It's very difficult as a man to form a fair and unbiased take on this entire situation, and I'm just going to be transparent about that from the very get-go, especially because we have footage of the incident. And if you look through the footage of the incident, you'll see that what the Marriott is stating could be true. These are, of course, allegations, but what the Marriott is stating very much looks to be the case. Michael Irvin does go ahead and try to touch this woman's arm. The woman does step back a little bit, indicating that she is uncomfortable. Michael Irvin does try to touch her again. She does back away once again, implying that she's uncomfortable. There are employees that pull up to see whether or not she's okay. These could be true. Again, they're allegations. And the worst part is we can't necessarily hear their conversation. And at the same time, I want you to know, it's not like this woman wants to ruin Michael Irvin's career, from my understanding, because if she did, then she would have went to the police. If she really was seeking money or a payday, she would have went to the police. But at the same time, as a man, I could empathize with Michael Irvin. I've been to a bar before. I've had a couple of drinks before. I have attempted to hit on women following drinking. I have done that multiple occasions. And it's very much the type of situation where you have to read and react. If you touch her arm and she's pulling away, she's not interested, you're getting the vibe that you should probably leave her alone. And I don't know if Michael Irvin took that to a crazy extreme. Maybe it was the,
hey, you ever have a big black man inside of you?
That was a little bit much. He clearly was intoxicated based upon the video that we saw from the witnesses prior to this. But I do empathize with him in the state that there are times where you go and you hit on a woman and like she pulls away and you clearly should move on. And it seems like based upon like the touching aspect, based upon how physical he got with her, I don't think he crossed any boundaries. Touches her once, pulls away, touches her arm again, she pulls away and like walks back even further. Maybe the second time he shouldn't have done it yeah. I don't think it should have elicited this reaction, but at the same time, you need to understand, I'm a guy. You don't even know this woman's story. She may have undergone some trauma growing up. So as a result of it, she may be a little bit more sensitive to this type of situation. She may have actually been very terrified about the situation she was in. I don't necessarily know what setting they were in. I don't know if it was like late at night and it seemed like she was like the only person in the room, so maybe she was terrified about something else. I'm not necessarily sure. I could only speak from the perspective of being a guy. Yeah, I've gone to a bar a couple times. Yeah, I've shot my shot. Yeah, there have been times where I've touched a woman's arm when I have shot my shot. And yeah, there are times she pulls away and I'm like, okay, she doesn't want to talk to me. I'm gonna move on with my life. I always saw it as just a simple body language test, but maybe things have changed since then. I don't necessarily know. You have positive social interactions, you have negative ones. I think it's completely normal. It could be that Michael Irvin got unlucky. It could be that he said the wrong thing that elicited this type of response. It's very difficult to be unbiased in this situation and to really know without hearing how their conversation went. So what do you guys think about this situation? Do you think Michael Irvin deserves what's happening to him? Do you think this is going too far, or do you think it's justified? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.